Good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining us. As you're settling in, feel free to turn your cameras on. This is a conversational atmosphere. So again, if you're able to turn your cameras on, we would love to see your smiling faces this morning. And again, as you're getting settled, if you want to open up your chat box, you can go ahead and pop questions in there as we're going through the program. I'm seeing some smiling faces. Good morning, Cliff. Good morning, Kathy. Just admitting a few more people in.
Good morning, Irene.
Good morning. And there's Danielle. Good morning. Good morning. Rob and Joe. Good morning, everyone. And Mike, all the way from Altoona. Awesome. Good morning. All right, guys, as you're getting settled in, again, please feel free to turn on your cameras. This is a conversational hour of your time. Thank you so much for joining us. We're going to be talking about NIL, name, image, and likeness, and how you can incorporate that into your marketing mix. So without further ado, I'd like to turn it over to CBICC's President and CEO, Greg Scott. Greg?
Thank you, Irene, and good morning, everyone. It's great to be here with you this morning and have you participate in this webinar. I'm just going to say a few words, and I'm going to turn it over to my colleague, Fritz Smith, who is the president of Happy Valley Adventure Bureau, to say a few more words, but just a few things. One, we wanted to take this opportunity to speak directly to you about what those marketing opportunities are in this NIL era. You know, an NIL is the name, image, and likeness gives the opportunity for student athletes to profit off their likeness, make money, and but it also gives businesses an opportunity to capitalize as well from a marketing perspective in using student athletes. So the NCAA made a new rule, a policy last summer, came out with, and then various states around the country passed their own laws to allow this to happen, and Pennsylvania did likewise as well. So we have a Pennsylvania law that contributes to that. One thing I will say about today's seminar or webinar is that it's not intended to be an NIL specific on the technical details of NIL. We did have a webinar back on September 2nd that Sandy Barber participated in. And if you have technical questions, I would advise you to go look up that webinar on our YouTube channel, and that should answer your questions more specifically. We didn't want to take today's hour to go back and revisit some of the points that were made during that time. So with that, again, welcome. I hope this is informative. I'm sure it will be. And as Irene said, let's make it conversational, opportunity to ask questions through the chat and participate that way with our panelists as we go through the morning. So with that, I'll turn this over to Fritz to say a few words, and then we'll move on with the program. Fritz.
Thank you, Greg. Good morning, everyone. I'm Fritz Smith, and I'm the president and CEO of the Happy Valley Adventure Bureau, the tourism promotion agency for Center County. As most of you know, we worked with CBICC to create happyvalleytalent.com, a platform where businesses and other organizations can connect with student athletes. So we are here, as Greg said, to talk about some of the ways that you can capitalize on this. And I think if there's just one thought I'd leave you with today, it's that, you know, all of the publicity, all of the media coverage that you see around NIL all across the country really focuses on big deals. You see places like Ohio State University that have secured $2.98 million for in terms of opportunities for their student athletes. But the reality is that those big headline deals do not comprise the bulk of opportunities. Most of the opportunities that are out there for athletes, I think the average income for them in this realm is around $400. So I want everybody to understand that there are lots of ways to take advantage of this. This is not necessarily about the star quarterback coming to an autograph signing session. There are lots and lots of athletes at this university. There are lots of athletes in the community that from this area that go to other universities. And, you know, there are a lot of different creative ways and not particularly expensive ways that you can take advantage of these student athletes to help your business gain sales. So I just want to keep that thought in the forefront of everyone's minds. So thanks, everyone. Looking forward to the session.
Great. Thank you so much, Fritz. So to get us started thinking in a marketing mindset, we're going to throw it over to Ellen Mattis from Hello Social, who does a great job and wrote one of the very first articles about how you might want to think about this. So Ellen, you want to take it away?
Sure, thanks, Irene. Like Irene said, my name is Ellen Mattis, and I am the owner of social media marketing agency Hello Social, which is based here in Bellefonte. And we work primarily with businesses and organizations to guide them in their social media strategies. So today, I'm going to talk a little bit about steps that you can take on social media before totally diving into using a platform like Happy Valley Talent. So first things first, it's important to prepare your social media profiles for engaging with this new social media audience. If your business isn't already totally catering to students, there's a good chance that the content on your social media profiles won't garner the attention of an athlete or another Happy Valley Talent user. So what I want you to do is post some content that speaks to that new audience that you want to reach before engaging with them. And then when they come to vet your profiles a little bit before working with you, there's something on those profiles that resonates with them already that makes them say, yes, this is a good fit for me. On the same front, it's really important that you make sure your profiles are totally filled out. So this is an opportunity to go through, make sure your hours of operation are correct, make sure your website URL is spelled correctly, make sure that your address is correct. All of these things are going to be really important as you build this new audience to just set your social media up for success in the long run. Next, it's important to be where students are on social media. So, and this is broad social media advice. It doesn't just pertain to this particular initiative. In general, it's always best to be where your target audience is. So there are tons of resources available online that explain the demographics of each social network, which means who's using that platform and even the different ways that they engage on those platforms. What I want you to do is drill down on that target audience and figure out where your users are spending, or your target users are spending their most time online, what their interests are, and what their social media behaviors are. When you use all of that data, you can make a more conscious decision about how you are going to use social media to reach this new audience. Also, excuse me, go out of your way to engage with students that you want to work with. So, you know, before you chat with a student through the happyvalleytalent.com platform, maybe engage with them a little bit on social media. What I want you to do is be very organic and be very authentic. So we're not paying for anything yet. We're not we're not selling something to them. We're just letting them know that you're there. So follow students that you're interested in working with, comment on their posts, like their posts. What happens then is that if they didn't know your business or organization existed locally already, this is going to put it on their radar. Then when you make that next move on the Happy Valley Talent platform, you're already going to be on the top of their mind. Also, something that you can consider doing is using your personal accounts to mention that you are the real owner or employee of your business or organization. And then tag your business account in a comment or message, because putting that human face to your business name goes a long way in creating those social media relationships. And then finally, be creative. So keep in mind that when it comes to engaging with students on social media, what you've always done might not get you the results that you're looking for in the long run. So try new social media features out, play around with different tools, play around with different content types. I'm not saying you have to jump on and dance on a reel, but don't be afraid to be a little bit more creative with the content that you're putting out. That's all I got. Thanks, Irene.
Awesome, great tips. Guys, if you have your chat open, you can add questions there as you think of them, and we'll get to those towards the end. And Ellen's also going to put a link to the article she wrote, which is great, just brushing up on your social media and also putting some of these specific items in play that'll help with happyvalleytalent.com. I know as a business organization, we're a little bit more with our demographic, we're a little bit more heavy on LinkedIn and Facebook. But when we launched this initiative, we had to brush up on our Instagram and our Twitter, which is where a lot of the athletes and the coaches are at. And shout out to Nicole Yada, who's on staff and is representing our youngest demographic on staff. It's really great to have those people in the mix that can kind of clue you in, as unfortunately we all get a little bit older. So if you don't have one of those people on staff, find an intern, find somebody that can help you with your social media and help play out some of those things that Ellen is talking about, and it really will go a long way. Okay, thank you, Ellen. So now the Miss Chief of Impressions, Michelle Damiano.
Hi. So thanks for having me, and it's nice to be here. I am the owner and creative director of Impressions, which is a full-service marketing and branding agency based here in State College. So just to continue off of what Ellen was saying is that it's really important to engage and know, I think, that athlete and get to know them, but you really have to know your own business first. You really have to make sure that you understand how NIL fits with your business. So this is always my mantra: goals, strategy, tactics, tools, 100% all the time. Goal, strategy, tactics, tools. So if you're going to engage with a student athlete and utilize them in that manner, why? How are you planning? How does it line up with your business goals? And then how do you use it across all of your touch points? And I think that is something that is important to integrate. So if we want to pop up the next slide, I kind of made up some examples. So for instance, to Fritz's point, if these aren't all about A-listers, you really, in fact, if you're really starting to step in, it might be better to go with some of the smaller athletes who maybe only have a following of 1,000 or 1,500 or 3,000 people. But imagine if you could come in contact with 1,000 people in an afternoon. How long would that take you if you're making phone calls or trying to do ads, something different? So it's still a very valuable pool, but think about where these athletes also come from. And I think that's one thing to think about. Like if you have a business that can expand or sell a product or service in an outlying region, not just a local market, tap into some of those students who might be from that area. Like for instance, it says here, expand a business in the Philadelphia region, find athletes from that area, and then utilize a couple of them, because you can go wide versus going deep. One athlete with 15,000 followers versus 3 athletes with 1,000 or 3,000 followers gets you perhaps a wider net. So, and then how do you utilize that and incorporate that into your other marketing mix? Like, so it's not just social, but how do you drive that? Can you do billboards? Digital ads are going to be important. Utilize those ads, drive them to a landing page, do some creative different things. One thing, like, also be aware, like Ellen was talking about your target audience. Know your target audience and how you utilize athletes to reach your target audience. So if your target audience isn't necessarily students, but perhaps your target audience is families. So maybe you're an HVAC company and you want to reach families. You could use an athlete to maybe host pickup games in the summer or in the early spring in neighborhood parks, because a lot of neighborhoods have their own neighborhood park. So you utilize an athlete to do something that engages the kids from families, but your goal, your target audience is the family, because you have a product or service to sell to that family, not to the child. but you're building a relationship with the parents of that child by utilizing this athlete and providing something that's beneficial or useful to them. But the important part about that is also making sure that at those events or anything else that you do, that your brand is really well represented. And I think that's one thing that I see people do a lot is they might even, there's a big difference between idea and execution. And so as you're using perhaps an event or an experiential thing, something like that, you want to make sure that your company is well represented there so people can bridge the gap of why you're doing this. So what are you doing at that event and how are you following up on that via emails, via, again, absolutely utilizing it on your social media to promote it, but how are you then following through on that in other touch points? So does that make sense? I'm gonna flip to the next slide. Then I kind of show some different touch points and ways that you can utilize all these different things. So not just social. Social obviously is a huge part of it, but you have to pull it through into your other avenues of how you're naturally marketing. Videos, utilizing landing pages, signage, whether that's in-store signage or trade show displays or posters or a print or something like that, but where is it driving them to and how you're integrating that across all of your marketing touchpoints. And that's where it starts from there.
I love it. I'm already like getting excited about it and thinking about stuff. You mentioned HVAC. So like defense came to mind, like our defense wins games. We're so cold, we ice out points, right? And then you could do something with HVAC. Hometown heroes, when you talk about business goals, like what if a business's goal that year was to expand into the Philly or New Jersey market? We know basketball private league is really big there. You get one of those stars, they're not, Sean Clifford, but they're still, an athlete in their own right. And they would have that whole hometown hero carry there. So to have those people with their slightly smaller social media following, that could line up really well with the business's goal.
Yeah, and it's a different way to think about it, but it's really an important way. Like I think a lot about that, the show The Voice, where you see these people from very small towns that then they have these huge followings that are built on social media because their towns are rallying behind them. So it's the same, you can utilize that same type of thought process of growing into some of these different areas by utilizing athletes from their own region, because here it might not be a name that's well known, but in their hometown, they're a big deal and they're excited, for their hometown is excited and proud of them. So that's how you can utilize that and capitalize on that. But again, it has to go back to your business goals. What are you trying to achieve?
Right, definitely, because they've been a star athlete in their hometown since maybe middle school, even high school, definitely.
Yeah.
So absolutely. Okay, hopefully everyone's wheels are spinning. Cliff, I'm looking at you. I got ideas. Okay, let's go on to our next speaker, Ed Stoddard from HVAB. You want to take it away?
Hello, everyone. I am Edward Stoddard. I am the communications director at the Happy Valley Venture Bureau. I'm very blessed to be kind of a head cheerleader for the area, telling the story of the area, helping anytime that a consumer needs information about the area, I'm involved in that in some way, telling our stories. I'm out and about and learning as much about the businesses here as possible and learning about the history, future, and current Happy Valley so I can help tell that story. So sports is in our DNA here in Happy Valley. And as the Happy Valley Adventure Bureau works to promote visitation to Center County, we utilize any impactful method that fits our strategies. HVAB recognizes the opportunity to connect with students to promote Happy Valley by working with student athletes. You don't always have to work with the starting quarterback. You can always work with any student athletes. Sign up on happyvalleytalent.com. Sean Clifford did attend and speak as the keynote at our annual stakeholder meeting. Sean is a broadcast journalism major, and he is a great speaker. He talked about the team, his leadership. He was very humble. He talked about the season, and really gave a good talk. He was very polished, being the major that he is in the major that he is in, and so personally, I thought he was a great speaker. I am also working with Sean on visiting Penn's Cave and Wildlife Park and Bull Museum. We're going to catch some video of Sean at those places. He has been to Penn's Cave before, I believe, but not to Bull Museum. So we're going to have a mix of talking about what he knows and what he's discovering in Happy Valley. And any business can do big or small things, like I've said, and as Fritz and Ellen and Michelle have outlined in their discussion here. There are many student athletes sign up on happyvalley.com in many sports and many majors. As part of HVAB's toolkit to promote tourism in Happy Valley, we've recognized that peer video and personal visits have a lot of impact. And I always bring in, it shouldn't always be my voice telling the story. I bring in other voices to tell the Happy Valley story whenever possible, working with travel writers, working with whoever we can. So I have contacted 2 fencers that fencing, of course, is the most winningest sport, has the most national championships at Penn State. So there's, it's often football and basketball and wrestling take the forefront, and volleyball take the forefront in what we know. But there are other sports out there. And I have to say that the fencers were very happy to work with me when I talked to them, very, very personal. And when I explained the project, that we were going to go out and they were going to visit some Happy Valley locations that we determined together. So we get that business strategy in there, and we find out where they've been, where they haven't been, and we get that that peer video and that impactful video that we're looking for. So we'll do, they will each visit locations, they'll film the video, and they'll give that video back to us. We'll write a blog article about that. We will use the videos on social media to promote, hey, here's who went out, and here's a place that you can visit in Happy Valley and what they thought when they went there, to get that personal touch to things and that personal storytelling. So I just wanted to give you some examples. If you ever want to talk marketing, want to talk about any strategy for marketing businesses, you can always email at edwards@happyvalley.com, and I'm happy to talk to you. Thanks for your time today.
Thank you so much. That was a great example. And Ed was telling us earlier, he literally just got on happyvalleytalent.com, and he went and looked at the athletes that had registered, reached out to them, and set this up. I think you also utilized some of the other resources. Is that accurate?
Yes, it is. Happyvalleytalent.com. I'm pleased with it from a business standpoint. It was very easy to use, interact with, and I appreciate the other resources. The example contracts that are there for were great resource to pull into. Yes, so I've used a lot. Thank you.
Awesome, thank you. And it's great to hear somebody that's went through the entire process. And the same thing, just like Michelle was talking about, it aligns with the business goals as well. Quick reminder, I know we had some people that joined late. Today's webinar is just going to focus mainly on marketing. But if you want to look in the chat, we do have that link to the September 2nd announcement with Sandy Barber that goes into a little bit more of the details regarding NIL, name, image, and likeness. And in that webinar, they also talked about some of the reporting onus, which is on the college athletes. So if you're wondering about how that works into it. Okay, so now, speaking of college athletes, we're going to flip the perspective a little bit. Thank you so much to Chris Ganter, who was able to join us. He's with Vesper Management Group, and he has some really cool friends. Chris, do you want to talk a little bit about what you're doing and who you know, and each one of your experience, your perspective and their perspective?
Yes, absolutely. Thank you so much for having me. I want to thank the Happy Valley Talent Collective. You guys have been awesome with everything, and it's great to continue working with you. As Irene mentioned, I was a student athlete at Penn State. I played quarterback once upon a time. I wouldn't expect anyone to remember that, but this past year in 2021, whenever the announcement was made that Pennsylvania was on board for this NIL thing, I jumped in because I have a history of working with athletes and celebrities and understand how to help get certain deals like this together. So, and it was really mostly about helping the school and understanding how important this is and how important the success of NIL is to Penn State and Penn State athletics, both now and moving forward. And so during the season, I worked with a little bit with Sean Clifford and Jahan Dotson, and even some alumni athletes kind of who have wanted to get back into this once this, they were inspired once they heard about this, being able to utilize their name, image, and likeness as well. And so, I was able to learn everything. No, not everything, because this thing is changing every day, and we're going to keep learning together. But I was able to understand some of the ins and outs of how this works from a university and student perspective. And so I'm here to speak a little on the perspective and mindset of the student athlete as it pertains to NIL and what to think about when considering using their name, image, and likeness from their perspective, and how you can ultimately approach them and successfully utilize their services. At the end of the day, we all just want everyone to feel comfortable to play in this space, not only to benefit your businesses, but also benefit our athletes and Penn State athletics as a whole. It goes without saying that the schedule of a student athlete is extremely demanding. We all know that: practice, school, studying, social life. This is the first half year plus of this. So similar to many businesses, nobody knew exactly how to dip their toes in. And similar to businesses, these athletes have a brand to manage themselves. So I think because it was thrust upon everyone so quickly, there was a lot of selectivity and not really having the knowledge or confidence to really dive in. But moving forward, they will become more knowledgeable. Penn State has they call it the Statement Group, and it's an educational team formed within athletics to help them become more knowledgeable, learn about this process, everything on the front end, and also back end and compliance. I think you can expect a more aggressive approach from their end as well. And all that being said, these athletes, after almost a year of taking it in, there will start to become an expectation that there will be opportunities for them as well. And I think that's going to become the case around the country. So for businesses considering utilizing athletes, they're going to be excited to hear from you. And as had already been touched on by the real marketing experts on this panel, there's all kind of opportunities that will be out there, and however you want to utilize them, whether it's appearances or social media, and whatever the audience is. But one thing to consider with the audience, in kind of non-traditional marketing terms, when these kinds of things are happening, and I can tell you this from experiences, Penn State people will talk about it. They'll share it around. It might not be someone that you intended as a target audience, but they want to know about it. And I can't tell you how many texts I get anytime I see something from multiple people, whether it's a football player or not, just anything that's happening in the space. It's going to be growing, and it's fun and interesting to be a part of it. And that being said, the landscape is constantly changing. Stay up to trends on what is happening with NIL. if you can find anything on efficacy rates, what's going on around the country. And many of you have seen these collectives forming, business, whether it's for-profit, nonprofit, whatever it might be, and that will soon be the case everywhere. And I know we're going to move to questions here, and I hope you guys have a lot of them. I know we're all here to help on this.
Awesome, Chris. I anticipate a lot of questions for you. Like, would they like this? Would they go for that? So you can probably, not just with your experience, what you've set up, you, like you said, you're in the space, people are talking to you all the time. You can probably also talk to the variety, the span, people doing it just for trade, things like that. Is that accurate?
I'm sorry, just what, can you repeat that?
You've probably seen the span, you know, there's deals that you've worked on specifically, but there's also things you're aware of that you might
Oh,
be
yeah,
able to
yeah.
speak to. Okay.
Oh, yeah, sure. So, you know, there are things like private appearances, you know, appearances at car dealership or restaurants, or even tailgates. That's been, you know, that was something that was happening this year after a game. Athletes to stop by a tailgate, or even before a game, it can be an athlete from another sport, whatever sport the tailgate is at. Some social media deals, some licensing and apparel and brand deals and speaking engagements. And I think moving forward, it'll be interesting to see, because there's so many creative ways to approach this and so many different things that can be done outside of just kind of the traditional appearance or social media or, you know, print marketing or whatever it might be. There's a lot of ways to get creative, and I think it could really benefit businesses, and if you're able to do something that's new and fresh. And I think athletes are also on board to think of things in those terms.
Absolutely. New and fresh. Social media is a blessing and a curse that way. There's always new content, new trends to jump on. So guys, again, be thinking of your questions, pop them in the chat. We're going to have Nicole Yata from the CBICC give a quick spin through the site. If you haven't been there yet, happyvalleytalent.com. We encourage you to sign up for it, but get a profile on there. Even if you're not sure that you might ever do a deal with a college athlete, it's still great for your SEO. It's a great way to get your brand out there in front of this audience. And I just want to mention, we tried to, it didn't work out calendar wise, but Troy from Urban Flavor House in Bellefonte, he was one of the first business owners in the area to jump on the NIL opportunity. So he had two football players who already had their own kind of thing going on. They liked food, they liked wings, they liked flavor, and all of that, like to Michelle's point, all of that aligned with Urban Flavor House. They're all about flavor. So they were already working in the micro influencer space. So they reached out to these two Penn State athletes. They came and they did like a whole wing fest kind of thing. So it fit both with those athletes brand and with the business's brand. So you've got those business goals aligning. So that was really fun. I think that was last fall, maybe, if I'm remembering correctly. Okay, so if you haven't seen the site, again, happyvalleytalent.com, for it's free to get your profile if you're a business. If you're a business that's associated with any of the local business organizations. So I won't name them all, but Downtown Improvement District is on today. Happy Valley Adventure Bureau, of course, is on. We've got somebody from Blair County Chamber that's on. So if you're in any of the 10 associated business associations with Happy Valley Talent, it is free. So please go on and get your profile, get your name out in front of this community, both athletes and other people who are looking at this site. Okay, Nicole Yata, do you want to give us a quick spin through it? And also maybe mention what's new.
Yeah, I'll just go through it real quick. So we just updated a little bit, kind of changed the look some. So if you just come to the homepage, there's just a little information about NIL, and then a little bit of more information, just adding in more stuff that people can kind of search into if they're interested in learning what NIL is. Here you can find the links to the statement released from Penn State and all the apps that they've partnered with. So you can come here and view all that. And then if you aren't a business or if you haven't signed up yet, we have the sign up now and then the login button here. I'll show you what it'll look like as you register. These are all of the affiliated partners that we have that Irene was just mentioning. So if a student athlete is coming on here and wants to search through businesses that maybe they would want to work with, they have options to go through all of our directories. And then there's also the directory of businesses that have registered through the website. So they can come here and search through all of these. This used to not be public facing. We've made it public just to show who has registered, to kind of show who's featured, who's interested in getting started. You'll have to create a profile and log in to be able to get anybody's contact information. And then as for talent coming on as a business, you can click and you can see the featured student talent. So these will be the students that have actually come on the website and registered themselves that are interested in, doing anything NIL. Again, you'll have to create a profile to see their contact information. And then another new thing that we added on here are the roster pages, and also club sports and then organization pages. So this will just link to like Penn State's club sports page. And then also the organization page we included, because this can also be used not just for athletes, but also people, musicians or any type of artists. So we added in these links as well. And then this directory here is Penn State's directory. So if it's a student or anybody at Penn State that you want to contact, that's information's not on the website, this is a directory that you can search their name. If their information is on Penn State's website, you should be able to find it. And then here we have links to all of the roster pages as well. So if you want to view all baseball players, we have links to all of the individual things. So you can see everybody's hometown if you want to focus on, if you're looking to focus on a certain area, this would be a good place to come to. And then we're updating resources that are provided for members of the site. So if you have a login, you can come into this resources page. So this is going to be getting updated. There were a lot of features that we have included that will probably be more for the future, but those sample agreements that Ed was mentioning are right here. So we have different, one for like a live event and for a recorded event. I think I placed a box over that, but you'll be able to view that and you can download it and use it for whatever event you guys get together with student athletes. And that's pretty much all it for now with the site.
Great. Thank you so much, Nicole. So again, the gist of the site, athletes are very accessible in the age of social media, but the gist of the site is for it to be a one-stop shop so that people can come find one another. The athletes can find businesses, businesses can find athletes, communicate. If they're able to work out a deal in private, then in public, they could create a calendar item for that event. And then, fans like us, everyone here today can view that calendar and say, actually, I do want to go to XY's event and hang out on Saturday or whatever the case may be. So again, just a nice one-stop shop for people to come. And then if they want to publicize, they can do that as well there. Okay, so we have heard from marketing experts, we've heard from insiders, we've gotten a tour of the platform. We are ready for questions. We want to hear all of your burning questions. I'm not going to put anybody on the spot yet, But Joe, I don't know, how would Seven Mountains Media think about using this?
Well, I think when you talk about things with Seven Mountains or, different organizations in this realm, I mean, you'd have to think about things, especially like live events, because we're always doing live events. We're going to be working on new featured events, signature events for our company. Talking about even things with crossover promotions, new products, new things we're starting here because new things we're starting here. I mean, there's lots of different fresh things that we're doing here as an organization to continue to grow the media landscape in a way that is continuing, trying to keep up instead of keeping up as we go this way in age, just kind of going this way in age. So engaging more with things at the university through these different types of opportunities are definitely things with in our organization, which is why we're involved in taking a look at these different opportunities. Simply because it helps build not only further local ties, but also helps build local relevance. So we've got so many different things that we're involved in changing as a company, that these are the reasons why we look at these types of opportunities to say, okay, what can we do here to try and not only grow with the big school down the street, with the people who are involved, who bring a spotlight to it, and that also helps to give a better spotlight to our own organization and the community. So we can triangulate all those things. It's a beautiful opportunity.
I think something that is working in your favor, a lot of the athletes tend to overlap with communications, whether they're broadcast majors or not. So you kind
Correct.
of have that experience built in, which is really nice. Like there might be a business thing happening, but they also want to grow their professional skills too.
Correct.
So that's really nice. Okay, who else has their wheels spinning and they want to chat with all of our marketing experts?
Irene, I did ask a question. Is there a way to search on the site by interests? So, so that I could see the student athletes, like if my business is like as a restaurant or in the food realm, is there a way to search by types of interest on the site?
Nicole, do you want to take that one?
Or is that something maybe we could look at adding as it grows? This,
Sorry.
It's all new.
I couldn't find my mute button. There's not a way to search by interest, but there's a place listed. So again, you'll have to create a profile to see this, but if you click on their contact, it lists all of them here. But that's definitely something that we could look into adding, but this is listed on all of the students' profiles, and then as well as the business profile. So if you were to create yours, there's a checkbox to select all of the type of things you'd want to do as well. That will be listed, and then the students can see.
Kathy, I see your hand raised.
Yeah, Michelle's fingers were faster than mine because that was my question too. I'm with a nonprofit organization, so it would be really nice to see, an athlete that might be sympathetic to our cause and what we do. I mean, the first thing for Centerpiece that comes to mind is we survive on furniture donations of goods, and we're a transient community with students moving out. I mean, drive downtown when the apartment buildings are emptying and you see stuff on the side of the roads. It would be really nice to have someone who could speak to those students for us to say, hey, donate that stuff. Just don't leave it for garbage pickup. Donate, we'll come pick it up. So that's the first thing that comes to mind for me. I mean, that would be very valuable to have someone who could be a spokesperson for us directly to that demographic, speak to them through social media, through other platforms, and have them donate that stuff to us. So that's the first thing that comes to mind for us.
Well, Kathy, you might want to also look into some of their majors. If any of them are aligning with social justice majors, I mean, that whole side of what y'all do, that could really be powerful for them. Again, less about what they're doing athletically and more about what they're interested in,
Absolutely,
especially in the future.
And to
Definitely.
be able to search for that criteria would be invaluable.
We had a question in the chat about price ranges. There are no published price ranges at this time. This might be something that Chris can speak to, and we're going to probably summarize by saying it depends. Depends on their following, their star status, that sort of thing. Chris, do you want to talk about price ranges and different options maybe that aren't monetary?
Yes, absolutely. So you were right in saying that it depends, because it really does. And that is kind of something that is, I'd say, working itself out right now. The price, I couldn't say that a price range is determined yet. And I've only worked with football players to date. But in many cases, for a, maybe not as well-known athlete, something like $250 an hour for an appearance. And then as far as social media posts and that kind of stuff goes, that's been mostly based on sort of the traditional formula for followers, but I think that number might go up a little bit just because of how, how direct the target audience is. But I mean, I'm happy to talk about this if anyone wants to get in touch with me after it, but it's really that's such a difficult thing to say. And I also don't want to, throw out some of the numbers that individuals have made that I've worked with. Those have been private to date.
Absolutely. We totally understand. So to answer that question, it definitely depends. And it also depends on how much your business, the value your business is putting on that goal, and how much money or other resources you want to put towards achieving that goal, probably. So Cliff, your organization, Hospitality Asset Management Company, y'all operate in several localities. So I was thinking about you when Michelle was talking about hometown heroes and, highlighting people that are from different areas. We also have a lot of people that attend Penn State that are hospitality majors, so there could be an overlap there as well. Are your wheels spinning? Are you thinking about how you might use NIL to accomplish your business goals?
We've actually I've been sort of tapping around on the site a bit and looking previous to when you guys announced this seminar. I guess one of the questions I'd have as well, and one of the speakers talked about going maybe broader rather than more targeted, instead of having one person pick 3 people. And this is to anybody, that was speaking, what's the opportunity maybe with teams, like an entire team of, I don't know, women's hockey players or whatever it might be, to, get involved with a company for, say, 3-month period of time and have a rolling sort of commitment. And, we work with them and they work with us, and it could be a broad-based thing, is kind of where my brain has been going so far. And I'm just wondering, does that seem practical or possible? Maybe Chris might be a good person.
Yeah, I can touch on that. Cliff, absolutely. That's become a very popular thing around the country. And here at Penn State, whether it's a team or a position group, I know some of the position groups within football have kind of aligned as a collective of their own, where you can still, you can still work with as an individual, but they also have a group thing together. So that I think that's a great approach, and group licensing or even across different sports, multiple athletes for the same sort of thing who might share the same interests.
Right.
Nicole, do you want to talk about captains on the site?
Yeah, there is an option for whenever students are signing up for them to select if they're a team captain. Let me pull it up real quick.
The idea there being, if you're the team captain, that might be a touch point. If you don't know who you want to reach out to, you might start with the team captain if you were doing what Cliff was thinking about, and working with an entire team.
Yeah, so if they're a team captain, they have this symbol on their profile. So this is the men's ice hockey team captain. And just like another idea that I've always thought of too, whenever like working with students, I don't think it always necessarily has to be like money that you pay them in. It could also be in like some sort of like service or something. So if you're working with a team and you want them to promote your hotels or one of your hotels, you could do that and then offer them, you know, for parents weekend, their parents can stay for at a discounted rate or something of that sort. Like, I don't think it always has to be a check that gets handed to them. It could also be, you know, something like that, like a coupon, or, you know, some places also have links where if it's, say it's a student athlete with a high following or whatever, and they're promoting your business and says, you know, click my link, the link in my bio, and book your stay this weekend in State College at this certain hotel. And if that person clicks that link and books through that student's link, then they receive a commission off of that booking, just as an example or something.
Yeah, those unique URLs or QR codes can do wonders. Okay, Rob, you had a question?
Actually, you just answered one of them. One of them was, could we have an affiliate link? Could that student use their fame, so to speak, and promote a program and get paid a commission as opposed to a flat rate to really get the value out of what they've done? So thank you for answering that, Nicole. The question I'm wondering is from a just slightly different standpoint. At the Force for Health Network, we have a reality health games we're about to launch in this region, which rewards athleticism, but also academics and community service. It's kind of a new type of competition. It's an Olympics for the rest of us, so to speak. And I'd love to have on the site a field for community service interests and my academic achievements, because, like Kathy Brown's suggestion, if someone's concerned about homelessness or let's say furniture, they might be very much, it might be some student that would help us note it down. Are we recruiting along those lines? I would love, and what I'm doing with our STEM education activities with the high schools and colleges is promoting high quality academics and maybe things like intramural sports activities. Can we expand this to include any student? Are we recruiting any students, or is it specifically limited by the law? Are there regulatory things limiting this to just college varsity athletes?
Rob, I would encourage you to go back, and I put it in the chat link. If you want to watch the September 2nd YouTube recording of that webinar with Sandy Barber, Penn State has been very clear. This is for all college students. So the gist of this website, of course, was intended for athletes, but any students are welcome to sign up if they have if they want to promote themselves in any sort of way. So there aren't really any hard and fast rules. Additionally, Nicole, if you want to go back to that screen that links through to the clubs, that might be a really nice starting point for you looking for some of the other clubs that might better align with your business's goals.
Thank you, Irene.
Absolutely. Thanks for your question. Okay, I see downtown is on. Are there any wheels spinning there? JQ, Leanne, do y'all have any thoughts or ideas or things that maybe that you've heard from some of your member businesses? JQ is regretting putting his screen up. Good
Hey,
morning,
Irene.
Leanne.
How are you?
I'm well. What are you thinking?
So I'm just kind of a quiet observer here because I'm thinking about the businesses in our district and the ways they might take advantage and utilize this wonderful platform. And I think I've invited them to join on all of these webinars that you've posted because I do think they're very valuable. And I think especially today, understanding that you don't have to spend a lot of money and it can be maybe an in-kind situation arrangement is really important for our businesses to hear. So I'll be having more conversations about this. I think there's something about maybe it's hard for small businesses to wrap their head around this and truly understand how they can benefit. And I also think there's an issue with maybe some aren't as active on social media. So I think that's kind of a huge part of this. If you're not active on social media already, you really should consider doing so. So just kind of taking it all in and seeing how I can be of assistance to our businesses to kind of get them started in this process and help them understand it.
Definitely. There's, just like Chris was saying, we're all educating ourselves and we're all, having to keep up with it because it is so new and it just keeps changing. Okay, guys, we have about 5 minutes left. So if you haven't asked your question yet, please do. We have our marketing experts for a few more moments. And if you'd like, you can also just put your questions into the chat. I see Danielle Stemple from Lions Pride is on, Sarah Phelps from the CDT, Ray from Penn Highlands. Eric, are you thinking of anything? Do you want to share what you're thinking? I know you work with a lot of businesses.
Yeah, I do. Sorry, my mic is charging right now. I think it's a cool opportunity for a lot of businesses. I mean, like Michelle mentioned, to make sure it's the right fit for businesses, and really explore the different, think about and explore the different types of arrangements you could have with these, whether it's student athletes or college students. Like has also been mentioned a couple times, that can be in trade, in other promotional packages. So don't think of it as always having to sign over, a big check for these athletes. Try to think maybe more creatively about it. But the right fit, I think, is important. Making sure it's the right fit would be the key.
Definitely. Yeah, fit's very important. Mike from Altoona Curve is asking about the price range. Again, it kind of depends. Chris talked about that a little bit earlier. Kind of depends on the star power that you're looking to recruit, how many people, how many social media followers they have, and what your budget is, and how important it is to you to accomplish that goal. But maybe Chris and Mike, maybe y'all want to exchange contact information, and offline you could chat more about it. Danielle, you have your hand raised.
Yeah, I was just going to say, for us, when we worked with one athlete this past fall, she was a cheerleader. And so for us, pricing was definitely a challenge, but I found a great website that helped me sort of determine what she was going to be paid based on the number of mentions we got on her social media posts, because that's primarily what we were using her for. And she was a great partner. I'm going to just put that in the chat for anybody. I found it to be a really, really helpful tool in determining a fair pay scale. And if anybody has any questions for me, I'll be happy to put my email address in there as well. So that's it. Sorry.
No, that's great. Danielle, that's a great. And again, we're all kind of learning together. So some of us have done it before, some of us haven't. So it's great just to share all those resources. So guys, if you don't have your chat open, pop it open. Danielle just put the link in there. And I love it. We've got another sport highlighted now, cheerleading.
If I could add, there isn't maybe a agreed upon price for this type of NIL stuff, but there are some, and maybe that's what a pricing calculator, I'll have to check it out, Danielle. There are some kind of, I don't know if I'd say standard, but some price ranges for like sort of micro influencers that are more commonly used based on the number of followers. So, and maybe again, that's what that link is, but you could look at that to maybe give some ideas or some starting points for it. And that can be just found online based on number of followers that the athletes might have, or any other type of sponsorship or influencer opportunities.
Definitely. Thank you so much, Eric. Guys, speakers, if you feel comfortable and you want to put your contact information in the chat or connect with each other, our hour is up. Thank you so much for joining us. We hope this has been a valuable use of your time. If you haven't already, please visit happyvalleytalent.com and sign your business up. Even if you don't think you would make one of these deals, it's great for your business's SEO and get your brand in front of people who are visiting that site. So again, go to that happyvalleytalent.com. We want to thank the Happy Valley Adventure Bureau for co-hosting this with us. We want to thank Ellen Mattis from Hello Social, Michelle Damiano from Impressions, Ed Stoddard, again, for speaking from your experience with the Adventure Bureau, and also, of course, Chris Ganser with Vesper Management, Nicole Yada, our webmaster who designed it. Thank you, thank you, thank you. If you have any questions, reach out to the panelists on this or contact the Adventure Bureau or the CBICC directly. Thanks, everyone.